So Pete Nakos made me smile the other day, ear to ear. I've never met Pete Nakos, who works for On 3. I might never meet him. But Pete, if you're out there listening to or watching this show, just know I saw your report and I grinned ear to ear. Because that report said that Bryce Underwood is trending to be the starter for the Michigan Wolverines in week 1. Oof, boy, am I here for that. Now, there are a couple of names in that particular room. There's a former 4-star quarterback that is maybe working his way into the fold. There's Mikey Keene, who hasn't been around. I'm not entirely certain what's going on there. And quite frankly, I don't mean this as a shot at Mikey Keene. I don't care what the external factors are. Davis Warren's still on the roster, but he's coming back from an ACL injury. Not sure if he's going to be ready to go. And Michigan might just do what I have wanted them to do from the moment that they flipped Bryce Underwood from LSU. This was a huge landmark moment for the guys in maize and blue. Sherrone Moore went out, and with Collective and Dave Portnoy and all sorts of people involved, flipping the number 1 quarterback in the class of 2025. I want to see him start. Yes, this is a selfish escapade on my part. I want to see the number 1 quarterback in the country start right away. 2 reasons why. Reason number 1, can their passing offense get any worse? Legitimate question. They were 131st in passing last year. If you throw a true freshman out there who isn't ready to go, is it actually worse than last year? Because last time I checked, Wolverines had a pretty good season. Wasn't great, not where it's going to be under Sherrone Moore, but it was pretty darn good. 8-5, not bad. Not bad at all, with wins over Ohio State and Alabama to end the year. Could Bryce Underwood give you the 110th best passing offense? That would be a sizable increase. Could he give you the 75th best passing offense? That would be a sizable increase. Now, the receiving core still has some questions. I know there are a couple guys up there they like. I like the running back room personally. They brought in Justice Haynes from Alabama. Their running game's going to be sweet, and I always trust that Sherrone Moore knows what he's doing to coach up an offensive line and scheme a running game. He is as good at that as anybody in all of college football. So, that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is Bryce Underwood represents the changing of the guard for Michigan from Jim Harbaugh to Sherrone Moore. He is the first major player everyone's going to remember. And I just thought of a third reason too. We'll get to that in a moment. But he's the first guy that everybody looks at and says, oh, do you remember when Sherrone Moore flipped Dak? When he and his staff got that? That was huge. Introducing him directly to the fan base, even if he's not fully ready to be what he can be in his 3rd year starting in the maize and blue, for instance. Showing the fans what is possible, never a bad thing. Now, it depends on how you view the 2025 season. I look at it for Michigan the same way I kind of see it for Oregon, Ohio State, the other heavy hitters in the Big Ten. I don't expect any of them to be able to push for the national championship this year. They get pushed to make the playoff. I think that's less likely for Michigan given all they lost on defense, but Oregon, Ohio State lost a lot on defense as well. But all those teams can be good. I don't think they can be what they are at their peak. Ohio State won't be as good as they were last year. Oregon won't be as good as they were last year. Michigan, I think, could be about as good as they were last year. But I look at 2026, and those teams, you could have a 3-way quarterback matchup of Bryce Underwood at Michigan, either, there's several options, Julian Sayin or Tavian St. Clair, both highly touted quarterback recruits at Ohio State, and potentially a 2nd year of Dante Moore at Oregon. That's what you call a quarterback prize fight. This year, the team I expect the most of is Penn State. And so for Michigan, because they have everybody coming back from a team that was 1 possession away from going to the national championship game. So I look at Michigan and say, boy, the opportunity to just generate even more buzz around the program and excitement and to just get the fan base humming, I think you can really do that. Here's the third reason, though, that I think Bryce Underwood should start this year for the Wolverines. What if he's really good, but not yet? That's okay, because J.J. McCarthy, yes, he had a year behind Cade McNamara, but J.J. McCarthy, it was his second year where Michigan won the national championship. It was his second year where he played himself into being a first-round pick in the NFL draft. It was his second year starting. No matter how talented you are, what your profile is as a quarterback, I never expect you to be the best version of yourself in your first year starting in a new system. Now, unless you're a supremely veteran quarterback, like in the Big Ten last year, two best quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard. What had they done? Played for 3, 4, 5 years, however many it was, at previous stops. Unless you have that, I don't expect you to pop. I expect it to be a little bit like Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. You're going to see the potential. You could even win some games. Then he might take his lumps a little bit. But Nebraska is going to be better for that this year, and Michigan can be better for that in 2026 if they do that. And yes, selfishly, I want to see the young guys start. I want to see what they've got. I want to see who the light can turn on the quickest for amongst the 5-star quarterbacks out there. Juju Lewis at Colorado. I know what Caden Salter is. I don't think he's winning a Big 12 championship. Start the young kid and get his development underway. Maybe not in the first couple games. All right, fine. But by game 4 or 5, yeah, throw him out there. Let him learn on the job. Let him make some mistakes. Let him excite the fan base. Then you generate even more buzz off season. Then you get a Heisman campaign. Or one day Tavian St. Clair at Ohio State. Or Houston Longstreet at USC. Those are guys that don't have as clear of a path to getting there. You know, you look down at Alabama where they've got Keelan Russell and Ty Simpson's expected to be the starter. Well, maybe he will be, maybe he won't be. I'd rather see Keelan Russell, but it's not as if Simpson wasn't a highly rated guy himself who's been in the program for several years. Maybe he's the right guy. That's a bit of a different situation, though, because there's pressure on Kalen DeBoer to win this year. I don't see it that way for Sherrone Moore in Michigan. Yeah, you got to be good. You got to win games. You'd love to beat Ohio State again. But more than anything, you've got to establish this program. And Bryce Underwood is supposed to be at the middle of all of it. So seeing him trending towards starting brightens my day. And if he starts week 1, I tell you what, I'm going to be in some kind of mood. And not just because college football will be back, but that'll always put me in a good mood. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.